sharing your screen.
What?
We're sharing your screen.
Why is it? What happened to our light?
What?
Oh, hold on.
Nick.
Okay, you got it? Huh? All right. All right, full screen. Right here. Remember, full screen. You don't have to touch anything back there. Okay, so you have to look at that because we can't do the extended display.
Oh, hold up. I know.
You can't change it, man, without the HDMI. We can't see the HDMI. And you're gonna have to follow my lead on this because I've done this and I've been in this country. Okay. All right. So when I tell you that we got it set and we can't unplug anything back there, everything should be remote. Okay. All right. I know where you at. Okay. You got it. All right. Full screen. There it is.
I can't see anything. What the heck am I supposed to do with this?
Is Mr. Wells leaving?
I think so.
Well, his code is still here.
I can't see anything.
You can't see anything on
I
the screen?
cannot.
What are you talking
This is not.
What do you mean?
I need to be able to see this. I cannot see all the way down there.
What are you talking about?
I can't see all the way down there. The screen is down there.
Black man.
I need it here.
Okay, so what is it that you need to do? You need to be able to properly communicate with us. What are you supposed to be?
Okay.
Communicate.
I'm trying, but I'm trying to get the screen to be here. But Mr. Wells said I can't. You know what? This would just go.
It can't see it. That's what I told him. He's got it. Why are you freaking out? Y'all gotta relax. There ain't nothing to it. Right now, all you gotta do is move the remote, and when you gotta get out of that, you hit escape.
Yeah, but then it's gonna be hard to see. Where...
Well, you can't because we don't have the exchange screens, right? So you can practice on doing that now because nobody's in here. So go up in the upper right-hand corner, minimize your screen. You could open that movie. It's up in the upper right-hand corner, right there. You could open it, pause it, minimize it, and then it'll be at the bottom. Pause it, and then go back, minimize it. Now it's at the bottom, so you just got to get to home screen, then you just click on it. Okay? You can practice through that. You got this. Hey, you got this. If I didn't think you could have this, I wouldn't ask you to do it by yourself. Okay?
Yes,
All right? No. I'm in so much trouble with my board. I'm presenting all day.
that you need to touch your hair.
Mom, what are you doing? I'm trying to look at your screen to see. Okay, it is on. And then when I press project,
What? What's the problem? What are you trying to do?
I'm
Can you breathe? Breathe.
no, it's all the questions that you're asking me. I'm trying to.
I'm trying to see how I can help you. Don't undo nothing on that. You about to mess stuff up.
I'm not about to mess stuff up. It's just the issue.
So why did you take it off of there? You about to mess with stuff. And then you're gonna mess the whole thing up and you're not gonna be able to get back in. Because you think you know what you're doing. So are you projecting on this with what you have on that one so you can see it? Is that what you're doing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you better know what you're doing. The problem with you projecting on there is you need to know, you need to see this so you know
Yes,
what
ma'am.
to do. Okay, all right, you know. No, what I'm saying is, when he projects it onto there, this screen goes blank. So when he projects it onto that, like can he programs have to be connected to in order to do that. Okay, yeah, you can't do it. So
I just
you were trying to, you did what you were
I
trying
just
to
did.
do. Okay.
So you trying
I
to
just
switch screens?
split the screens. That's what I just did. Because
So
what
you
it was
got-
doing
Hey.
was it was only down there.
So do you have all their stuff?
I have all their stuff right here.
Does any of that stuff have audio? Because we haven't tested anything.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. That video has audio.
No, it's not him at
I
all.
have no
It's
clue.
not him at all. I didn't even know y'all were coming. None of this information was given to me. On top of the stuff that I have to do 2 and 3 times a day. So the bill that they're getting for this is not going to be great on their part. Because the second I walked in and all of my work from yesterday was wiped out, it went up.
So his pay is separate from your pay and your bill.
Oh, my bill is totally different.
Okay.
My
Do
bill,
you work for the gym or you?
I contract through the gym,
Okay.
but
So
they pay-
whatever you have
yeah,
to do.
I give them a number, and that's what they pay for me to come here and do it.
So gym is paying you.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, who messed up all the
I have no idea. I still don't know.
somebody that had come in?
Yeah, had to come in after I left.
Ma. Look.
What is that?
What's the one?
What is that for?
I don't know, but is that playing or is that?
Yes, it is playing.
Why are you
But
playing it though?
there's no sound.
So are you going to be able to are you going to be able to transpose that to the screen?
Hold up, let me do it right now.
Well, don't do it right now because they are
Stop.
coming in.
Stop.
But I want to make sure I'm picking up the audio signal.
I'm gonna have to leave in about 30 minutes from hour.
I'm into the places. I won't get it. I just only taking the building.
Okay. I don't know. Next time you're gonna be able to handle that.
Yes, Mom. I'm just trying to get the audio and then I'm good.
Audio.
Audio.
So how do you get audio? Do you know how to do that?
Well, he's figuring that out right now.
Okay. You, Jordan, get your car.
Sit on the floor?
Get your car together. We had 3 cars. Get it from over. Get it from over. No. Don't. No. You need to keep them all out here. So let's work.
So this is working, but the video, when I play the audio, it doesn't play anything. Like,
Yep, so I'm not getting anything.
so
Check the audio, look. Check the audio.
this.
So you're coming out of Epson, which is this.
Okay, Epson.
Yep. Now play it. There you go.
Running the program, I need you to go ahead and I sent that to your email, so pull it up on your phone.
This
'Cause
one.
this only has 31% on it, so I don't know if it's gonna last until 1.
Does it have a charger?
I left the charger at home
Okay.
and don't know, so I sent it to your phone. So pull it up on your phone so you have it on there in case this goes in, please. And that's the only thing that you need to have on your phone, but only if this goes in. Otherwise, keep your phone put up, please.
I don't know if it's.
Right. I got you, so you're fine.
So that will play all the videos that they need.
I'm assume so. I've only seen one.
Okay.
They just gave us stuff to walk away. I'm like,
You see it? It's all the way at the bottom. All the way at the bottom. Okay, it's the run of the show right there. You don't have a way to pull it up? Okay.
I
I'm
sent.
going to turn the screen down on it so that way.
I sent you a request, but
Okay. I'm going to turn the screen down so hopefully that keeps up. You can still see it, right? I'm going to leave. Oh, what the hell?
you just turned it all the way down.
Oh. I'll make a strawberry lemonade cake. I made a cupcake. I didn't expect to be here all day. That's why you raising hands without talking to me and asking. You have everything that you need. Sure. Am I okay to leave or you need me here? Okay, well then I'm about to go. Email me if you need me, because that's the only way to contact me, okay? Do not be on your computer playing games or doing anything. Open that up so you can open up the file and make sure that you have it. It's the program. What are you looking for? You just pulling up everything, making sure you have everything.
Yeah.
So check everything on there and make sure where you put it in, please. Okay, bye.
Okay.
See you.
Love you.
I guess this is another shirt from Mr. Williams that he gave you.
Yes,
So I'm gonna go ahead and take that with me, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll bring the charger back for the computer.
Is that no?
That's a no, Darrell. He doesn't have the driver on his laptop for the next step, so no, he's not doing anything from the laptop.
Yeah, that's not great. Everybody said Shannon.
Good morning, everyone. We're gonna be starting here in just a few minutes, but if it's not too much trouble, can we get people that's way back there in the back? Can we get y'all to move up so we have kind of like a more cozy setting? Please and thank you. Because what we're going to be doing here today will cause us all to be working together. So if we all spread out and just goes along with what we're doing. So we can get everybody to move up as close to the front as possible. That would be great. And plus it makes for great camera shots because it looks like it's crowded. And if I could get the sound person to stop playing the music, we can get started here in about 2 minutes. Or turn the music down. Thank you. Good morning again. You all look so bright and cheerful and ready to go to work and understand what we're doing here today. So before we get started, I kind of wanted to do a little warm-up exercise to get everybody engaged and feeling good about what they're doing. So if you don't mind, I know people just moved down here in front a little bit. If you don't mind, can everybody stand up? This will be the last time I ask you to do it. And I want you to repeat after me. To whom much is given, much will be required. Okay, turn to the person next to you and say, to whom much is given, much is required. Turn to the person on the other side of you, and if you're on the end, turn to the person behind you and say it like you mean it. To whom much is given, much is required. All right. Thank you so much. Now we should be motivated and ready to go. So why are we here today? I'd like to go off script for just a minute and kind of share a situation and an incident with you all. But first, before I do that, I want to make sure that I shout out our fabulous sponsors for this program and why we're here today. So, I have the opportunity to work with some at-risk youth, is what they used to call them several years ago, because the school system wasn't challenging them. And so they label our black boys, of course, at risk when they get bored and they start talking and doing other things. So I had this one young man, his name is Mike. And Mike, they called me up there because Mike wasn't getting along with a certain person and they didn't want them fighting. So they call it conflict resolution now. So I went up, talked to Mike and the person that he was in conflict with. And so things got settled down. 2 weeks later, they called me again and they said, hey, Mike is at it again. Come up here. This time he's at it with such and such and such. So I went up to the school, went through, listened to all this ritual of things that were problems that Mike was causing with this person. And they didn't want it to spill over into the streets, even though it was a problem they were having in the community. So the third time they called me up there about Mike, it was something else with somebody else. So in the process, I had bought Mike a track phone. So I felt like if he could call me or reach out to me at troubled times, maybe we could stop this cycle. So I told Mike, I said, hey man, let's go grab something to eat. And he said, okay, Mr. Weston. And I'm probably the only person that he ever said Mr. to. So he said, okay, Mr. Weston, but you got to pick me up in your white car. And I laughed. I said, okay. So I picked him up. We went out. And I said, where did you want to go? He said, I want to go to Gates. So we went to Gates on 47th Street. So while we were sitting there eating, he said, hey, you know, this is really nice. He said, I've never been here before. And I said, oh, you've never been to Gates before? He said, yeah, we've had Gates before, but I've never been to this part of town. He lived down in Granby. So I said, what do you mean? He said, we've never been down here. I mean, you know, I just go around the neighborhood, go to school, and, you know, back and forth to the grocery store and that kind of thing. But his environment was right there in his neighborhood. So we went home. I took him home. We walked into the apartment. I wanted to introduce myself to his mother. I talked to his mother. But one of the first things that I noticed when I walked in the apartment was they had these big orange construction extension cords, and they were coming out of the window. So I didn't really pay a lot of attention to it at first. But then I noticed that it was plugged into one of those power strip cords, and there were other cords going other places. So in this process, I learned that they were using electricity from other places, but next door neighbors' electricity. One of the reasons why he had to get home was because he had to babysit his little brother and sister and nephew. So what I learned in this endeavor with him, his mother came out, she introduced herself, she was getting ready to go to a Lil Wayne concert with her daughter at Sprint Center. So one of the things that I thought about in our process, during this process was, number one, Mama had a Louis Vuitton purse, and it was a real one because she had the dust bag. And I know because I bought my wife one, and in 19 more payments, it'll be paid off. So I knew it was, and then she bust out the red bottoms. And these were real, these weren't fake. But the daughter was 17. She had a child that was 8 months old in this process. So the grandma, Big Mama, was 34. Now, when we were growing up, Big Mama was 50, 60, maybe even 70 years old. But in this particular case, and a part of what our society is Big Mama is 34 and 35. So now, I learned in this process because I watched all these little kids running around the house, you know, excited and going through the things that they were. His problem wasn't that he couldn't get along with people. His problem was his environment. A lot of times we label kids and we think we're seeing kids from the outside and what their issues are, rather than looking behind the scenes and seeing what the real problem could be. It was chaos in the house. For that hour and a half I was there, I was like ready to go smoke a cigarette. I don't even smoke when I left there, but it was total chaos. It was not a conducive environment for him to study and learn and just have an exhale moment because he had all this noise and chaos around him. So in the process, I learned that his father was in prison, his grandfather was in prison. They were cellies. By cellies, I mean they were roommates in prison. So when we talk about mentoring Black boys, we're mentoring Black boys to save our Black boys. And we can't just stop and look at them and think that there's something going on the outside when what's really going on is on the inside. And when we say these kind of things, it's like our young people see all these glitz and glamour, and we hear people talking about the American dream. His American dream never let him leave Grandview. So when we have to understand the whole picture and understand, and you know, they talk about gun control. We don't need gun control. We need love control. We We need to love on these black boys because that's what's missing. And when you have a mother that's 34 that's going out to a concert with her daughter that's 17, I never went anywhere with my mother but to church and the grocery store, let alone a concert or a club or something like that. But that's what we're here today for. And if there's one thing that I'm adamant about, we have programs. Take something tangible with you to your community, your home, your church, your fraternity, your sorority. Take that with you and apply it. These feel-good moments and all of this, the kumbaya moments, those are great, but our kids are dying out in the street. We got 15 homicides, 13 of them are black people, 11 of them are black men. We ain't concerned about that yet. So this is what this is about. Each one, teach one, grab one, hug on him, do whatever it takes, but we have to stop this cycle. And we stop this cycle by mentoring. How many, everybody got 5 or 10 minutes, if there's nothing else, just to call me. I still call him today. What you up to? What's going on? And this been like 6 years ago. I still call him and check in with him. I mean, I have people that I call and check in with, and I'm a little bit grown. But anyway, before I get banned from doing this, let me bring up our sponsor, Mr. Jaron Raven, to introduce from Swope Health, to introduce what our program is about today. Jaron. Correction. Let me bring up the brainchild for why we're here today, Miss Ruth Ramsey. Ruth has taken, give it up. Ruth has taken on the challenge of addressing issues that are facing black men and black boys. And it took a woman to do this, and I've got so much respect for Ruth and her, what she's doing. So give her another round of applause.
Good morning. Praise the Lord, for he is worthy to be praised. I'm so happy to be here this morning. My name is Ruth Ramsey. I'm the publisher of Powerful Matters magazine that has been in the Kansas City's premier public health and wellness magazine for 19 years. So stay on watch. Next year is the 20th, and we need to see you with us. We will be celebrating the community for what you have done in engaging with us. We're here this morning for a very special reason. We are returning with this conversation on mentoring black men, mentoring black boys. In November of 2022, we featured Black Men Speak, Health, Strength, and Hope. That publication brought together men from all over the community who came and contributed to our special edition on, and I said to each of them, I want your truth, I want your insights, I want your challenges, I want you to tell us what you think society thinks of you, and I want you to tell us what you're going to do with that. And so they did come, and they are featured in the book that you will receive before you leave today. So throughout today's program, and the special edition that we will present to you at the end, today, mentor me, I can and I will. That's that child saying to you, mentor me, I need you, right? I need you in my life. And that's you men saying, I can and I will. So this message today is about men stepping up, supporting the development of black boys. Mentor Me chronicles the experiences and shares the vision for moving the needle forward for our brothers, our sons, our nephews, and grandsons, so that they can reach their full potential and they can reach their adult life. As we educate the community about the mentoring needs of our youth, we do so with a heart full of thanks for the support. And I could not do this, I could not put this on, I could not publish one book without the help of people in our community, those organizations who, when I call upon them and I say, hey, we're trying to get this book out, this is the next edition. We need your advertising, we need your sponsorship, we need you to help us. Because it's a labor of love, it's not a moneymaker, okay? It's information, it's a labor of love, but it costs to produce it. So these people said, Ruth, we can do that, we can do something. And in today's event and today's program and special edition, those sponsors stepped up. Certainly, we're going to meet them this morning, and I just want to say thank you, dear sponsors, for all that you are doing and have done. And we're going to bring Jaron up, and we're going to bring up Janelle Jordan from San Rogers. Will come and help forward if Robert is in the room. Robert Gibson, we'd like you to come forward as well. Just go around the back and make your way up to the podium. We just want you to meet our sponsors, and we're just going to have a reading with you.
Good morning. I ask you guys to repeat after me, call and response, okay? Mentor me, I can and I will. Mentor me, I can and I will. One more time, mentor me, I can and I will. I can and I will. Now, I know y'all didn't think you come to a discipline, I have at least 3 call responses. This is church. All right. As my name is Jaron Ray, I'm the president and CEO of Swope Health. I want to thank you for being here today. I want to thank you specifically for caring about the health of Black men, specifically the investment in young Black men, which we don't talk about enough. I'll take a moment to talk a little bit about Swope Health and tie it into today's theme. Many of you probably know, those of you who are in Kansas City have been here for quite some time. This organization turns 55 years old this year in November. Swope Health has grown now to 22 locations, 600 employees, and a budget of $100 million across both Kansas and Missouri. I'm particularly proud about the work that we do in terms of diabetes, hypertension, health outcomes that are really killing, frankly, our community, particularly African American men. But I'm also proud of the things that we do outside of direct care. For example, we have a Fathers Focus program that reconnects formerly incarcerated men with their children. That's a program we do for free because it's important to our community. We are working right now on a residency program, both in dental and family dentistry and family medicine, to ensure that Kansas City is producing more African American physicians. Critically important. But I want to talk a little more further forward to really tie this back to today's thing. Many of you have probably heard the name Frank Ellis, I'm sure, founder of Swope Health. But what I find fascinating is his father, Dr. E. Frank Ellis, and the idea that Swope would have never existed without that strong presence in Frank Ellis' life. Dr. Ellis was the founder of the Westerners who grew here in Kansas City, a man who left Kansas City to be educated, came back to his community to do great work. And that strong presence is the reason why we're doing the care we're doing today. When I'm driving over today, I thought about what's the definitive text on Black males in American literature. The best I could come up with was Black Boy by Richard Wright. And if those of you who haven't read that, particularly young men, I encourage you to read it. The idea that it was difficult for me to come up with a text suggests that maybe young Black males and their experience probably isn't investigated and discussed enough. But it's important for today's discussion. I want to talk for a moment about my experience growing up. And I'll try to be succinct. As a young Black man, you wake up one day and you're taller, your feet are bigger, you seem cartoonish, right? Your voice is deeper, and all of a sudden, everyone in the world interprets you as a man, except your mom. Right? You're always a baby to her. But there's a danger in that. Derek Weston talked about the way that we discipline young Black men, the way that school districts and particularly educators might interpret passion for anger and misinterpret their size for risk. Right? These things matter. You look at the data around young Black men and suspensions and incarcerations. For me, I grew up with several brothers, and my father was in the home for some time. And not that I'm condoning this, but there was a moment where I came in the home and I was failing geometry. And my mother, who was all of 5'1", decided that she would ask my brother to deal with me instead. And so his recourse was to ask me to read my report card and then punch me in the chest for everything that I did wrong. Now, I'm not condoning it, but I will tell you I got a heck of a lot better at geometry. I'm making a point to you, now that I have a nephew, that they've reached an inflection point in young black males' lives where they're out looking for respect. And depending on your environment, depends on the kind of respect you've got to seek out. Some of that respect could mean getting all A's. Sometimes that respect means practicing until it gets dark for basketball so you can make the team next year. Sometimes that respect means bringing a gun to the Chiefs parade. It's critical for the community, and I specifically mean the black community, and to some degree the Kansas City community, for black men to be in the lives of young black boys. We are a nation, if you think about the diaspora, lost without it. I'd like to think that the organization that I'm a part of, we're doing that good work. Others like Sam Rogers and Health Forward are doing that good work. And I just want to tell you, thank you, Dave, for being here to support the work that we're doing and the work in the lives of young men. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? Y'all can do better than that. Good morning, everybody. All right, let's wake up, wake up, wake up. All right. I have the honor and pleasure to be here today and represent Health Forward Foundation. And for those of you that don't know us, Health Forward's purpose is to support and build inclusive, powerful, and healthy communities characterized by racial equity and economically just communities. In our work towards this mission, we focus on solutions and policies that improve systems to uproot racism and build wealth for community wellness. This includes partnering with a diverse group of community-based organizations, such as Our Health Matters, The Next Page KC, Swope Health, Samuel Rogers, and other partners here today to improve health on all fronts and in all aspects. We know health is not the sum total of our individual actions, but influenced in large part by the systems in which we live and the environments that surround us. Consequently, by addressing the most salient issues our communities face, we're improving conditions for everyone, especially our young black men, and expanding what is possible in our region. That is why we are so proud to be sponsoring today's Mentor Me event, because efforts like this, which sometimes go unnoticed, are vital and essential to changing systems and improving outcomes for our communities. I'm living proof of that, because it was the church members, fathers of teammates, fraternity members, coaches, and so many others that served as mentors to me at various points in my life. I wouldn't be here today without them. So with that being said, we hope you enjoyed today's program and continue the work of mentoring and supporting our young black men. Thank you so much.
Our next sponsor is Dr. Nathan Goss, and he is, okay, he's doing men's health. And he has to go to surgery, so we're going off script here. And he is going to be talking about mentoring is important in men's health. Dr. Goss.
Good morning, everybody. My apologies. Unfortunately, there's much work to be done in the city, and I have to leave here shortly, so I appreciate you letting me jump up on the calendar here. So I'm Nathan Goss. I'm an orthopedic surgeon on staff at University Health Truman, I believe, as we all know it. I work at Lakewood and Lee Summit as well as downtown here. love the work that I'm doing. Moved here very purposefully to take care of brown and black faces, right? Because I've seen for all too long, I've been in private practice for about 12 years prior to coming here, and for all too long, I've seen the health inequity that is present. And just feel like I want to be part of the solution rather than not being part of the solution. So I appreciate y'all having me here today, and this is beautiful. This is wonderful. This is speaks to my heart because mentorship is very, very important, and mentorship is why I'm here today. I have no other physicians in my family as of yet. I have a daughter who is in medical school, so she'll be the second physician, but we can talk about that later. But I am a physician today because of a mentor. I had a mentor in high school who happened to be an orthopedic surgeon. He was the first orthopedic surgeon to graduate out of Vanderbilt. And he took me under his wing and basically showed me that I could do it. And so there's this mantra that I live by: you can't be what you can't see. I'll say it one more time. You can't be what you can't see. And for me, if I hadn't seen him as an orthopedic surgeon, I don't know that I would have thought that that's something that I could do, let alone I didn't even know what orthopedic surgery was, to be quite honest with you. So for me, that was a pivotal point. It's been 25 years now, and I actually just had a reunion with him last week. We were able to commiserate, and I was able to thank him for his influence on my life, his continual influence on my life, and it's a special thing. And so what I'm trying to get at is the importance of you seeing me and me seeing you, because I'm special, right? My mama knows that I'm special. She calls me special all the time, but I'm a normal human being, and I'm able to do it, right? And there's people that are coming up under me, after me rather, that I'm able to encourage because we're able to do it. You have what it takes if you want to get into medicine, whether it's physician or something medicine adjacent, you can do it. You can be a CEO of a health system. You just saw that, like you can do this, and it's important that you see us up here to make that happen. This morning, before I got here, I had to remove the leg of someone that looks like you and I, secondary to diabetes. And I don't say that lightly because I'm doing this work for a very purposeful reason. However, what I do see is an opportunity for us to do better with our healthcare. Many of the things that we deal with are preventable. Many of the things that we struggle with are preventable. Now, I'm not saying they're easy to get over, but they are preventable. And that takes relationships with your physician, relationships with people around you, the nurse practitioner, the PA, making sure that you're taking care of yourself. And so as I'm taking care of this young lady this morning, it's about 6:30, I'm thinking, I'm about to go have a conversation with people that look just like her and I. And I thought that might be an opportunity to implore to you to say, you have to make sure that you are focusing on yourself throughout all of this. A lot of what we deal with is not genetic. I know that we're told that, right? Black folk get diabetes, right? It's in our genes. That's not necessarily true. A lot of it's social. A lot of it's stressors that you deal with, right? The black tax that you come up under. And it's important that you are dealing with these things, dealing with the mental anguish, those sorts of items that are causing the sickness that you're dealing with, okay? And I can't stress that enough, because otherwise you're gonna end up on the table at a very young age, and I'm gonna have to do a procedure on you that might have been preventable. On a lighter note, what I would like to announce and let you know out here in the community is that we try to, on an annual basis, hold what we call a Bridging the Gaps event. And the purpose of that event is to allow high school age folks to come to us at University Health and to see what it's like to be an orthopedic surgeon, see what it's like to be a physician assistant, etc. This is a free event to the public. And the focus is on brown and black folks, right? Young people that we want to mentor and to show you that there is a different route that you can take. And that will be publicly advertised widely, and I encourage you to come to the event if you have time. All right, my time is about up, and I need to get to the hospital, but thank you so much for coming today. I appreciate y'all all very, very much. I love y'all. I can't say that enough. I love y'all. You're the reason why I exist. You are my passion, my why, and thank you for the time to talk to you today.
All right, so now we're going to get back to our sponsors coming in, sharing their thoughts, but I do want to kind of reinforce something that he said about being able to see people in the community. When I was kind of growing up, I think I might have been a little bit grown. One of the people that I always thought and I kind of looked up to from a distance, because he always had his shoes shine. He always was, about business. He built a Linwood shopping center. He's come back again and redone the Linwood shopping center. Got a gorgeous wife. He's rich beyond my measure. And that's Mr. Don Maxwell, who is also one of our sponsors for a lot of times there's two people I always say when I grew up, I want to be like them. It's Jim Nunley and Don Maxwell, but more so Don Maxwell because he's rich. Anyway, no, I got much respect for him. So coming up now is Miss Jordan, and she is from Samuel Rogers Health Center. Miss Jordan, give her a nice round.
Good morning, everyone, on this blessed God-given Saturday morning. It is a pleasure to be here. Again, my name is Janelle Harvey Jordan, and I am the COO at Samuel U. Rogers Health Center, and it is our privilege to be here. Samuel U. Rogers, as you all know, founded the first federally qualified health center in the state of Missouri. And it is a blessing that I got to sit right behind Mr. Nunley, who helped us get Sam Rogers on the footprint and the path that it is now. He is still working in the community, so thank you, Mr. Nunley. Sam Rogers, one of the things that we want to do is to make sure that everyone is taking care of their health. Diabetes is a huge component of that, as well as maternal health. Maternal health is important to our community because Black and brown women are dying at a higher number to give birth to our children. So it is important that we share, we get back to individuals the importance of having good health care. And so our mission is to provide good health services to folks. We have a nurse practitioner residency. We are one of the first in the country to have that residency program. And one of our deliverables is we want people who come into Sam Rogers to have providers who look like them. It is very important. And so this mentorship, we are very excited that we are co-sponsoring this with Health Forward and with SWOLE because it is important. We all have the same mission and thoughts and guides on what we need to do to help our young people in the community. So again, I am blessed to be here. I am blessed that we have so many folks in this audience who care about our children. As a mother with Black sons and with Black grandsons, it's very important that we continue to mentor them, be there for them, and show them that there's many things that they can do in life. So again, enjoy this meeting, and it is very good. Thank you.
All right, so the mayor was supposed to be scheduled, but he is at Lisa Lopez, who was tragically killed at the Chiefs celebration. So he couldn't be here today, so we're gonna skip through that. Or I was gonna steal his 5 minutes, but I guess we'll move on. So joining us now is Mr. Jesse Frazier, and he is going to give us our invocation.
Let us bow together. As you can see, I'm not Kim Gladney. He already introduced me as Jesse Frazier. That's who I am. Pastor Gladney couldn't be here. Let's bow together. God, our Heavenly Father, we're so grateful for this time that you've given to us and for this grace that you've given to us called prayer, where we can utter words on the ground that are heard in heaven. And surely you are a prayer hearing and a prayer answering God. We ask you, oh God, to help us to take seriously the instructions that we will hear later on today. Help us to glean something that will be beneficial to us as we seek to affect the mores and values of this present generation of young Black boys and the generation to come. We recognize that passing mores and values from generation to generation is essential for changing the future of our homes, our communities, and this country. We ask you to go with us to stand by us and keep us now as we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
So if you were aware of this or not, earlier in 2022, Ruth Ramsey in our Health Matters had a book that Black men shared their experiences with. A lot of times we have a tendency to believe that as Black men, we're taught, hold it in. You remember when you get a whooping, if y'all got a whooping, some of us got beatings, but you know when you got a whooping, the first thing your parents said was what? Shut up that noise. So that meant what? Stuff pain. I wanted to cry because it hurt. A lot of us wanted to cry because it hurt, but as Black men, we feel like we're not supposed to have that emotion of pain. We're supposed to stuff it in and just deal with it. So last year or year before last, Ms. Ramsey had a book that she put out that allowed Black men to express what it's like to be a Black man in this society. So if you were in that book that she had, in that Health Matters book, could you stand up or wave your hand or holler or shout or something if you were in that book? All right, let's give these brothers a hand. Being able to share those thoughts with people is very, very important. And it's kind of like a healing process for us as well. We don't get a lot of opportunity to, share how we really feel about situations and circumstances. So if you were in that book, shout out to you as well. So I guess over here on this side of the room, we got Capitals, because I see all this red and it's glaring on my glasses over here. So we want to acknowledge them. And I guess our speaker must be somehow tied. Okay, all right. And then over here, I see my Q brother over there somewhere. There he is right there, okay. We in the house too. Who else we got in the house? Where the Deltas at? Okay, Quiet Delta. I never saw a Quiet Delta before. What about the AKAs? We got them in the house somewhere. AKAs, I heard her ski with, and then she stood up. She wanted to make sure we know where she was at. Who not leaving out? Alphas. Where's the alphas at? All right. So now, I said all that to say this. You all are mentors. You all are mentors. Y'all should have mentoring programs and be active in those mentoring programs as well. So we look forward to having a repeat follow-up from you all as what you're doing in your fraternities and your sororities. That was a setup conversation. What you all are doing for your mentoring young Black males. So what churches we got here today? I'm getting ready to get y'all now. Because churches are the biggest avenue that we have to connect to the community. So we got what church here? Palestine, where y'all at? Okay. Palestine right here. So we can look forward to some Friendship, Evangelistic Center, EC, okay. St. James, Ebenezer, United, which United? Just United? Okay. Okay, so we know y'all gonna be doing big things. Okay, because y'all just got one name. Who else we got? Who else we got? Metropolitan in the house? Macedonia. Okay, so now there is absolutely no reason why we allow what's going on in our community to continue. We've got all these avenues. We got the fraternities, the sororities, the churches, the centers. We got everything we need to be successful. All we got to do is get up and do something about it. To whom much is given, what? All right, so our next person coming up today is going to be a musical selection by the CIA Youth Jazz Band. Can we welcome them to the stage?
Thank you. As the band is setting up right now, I'd like to introduce you to
a nonprofit organization. It's called the Comprehensive Arts Institute. And we teach music. We offer music programming to schools, community centers, churches, privately, publicly. We're all about music education because one of the things that's really lacking in our youth is a sense of self, a positive sense of self, high self-esteem. These things come from the inside. And the arts feed the soul from the inside out. It's not fiscal, but it needs to be funded. But it comes from the inside, and the arts feed that spirit. And we've been doing this since about 16 years ago when we joined with the Missouri Arts Council. So we've been doing a lot of teaching a lot of kids. Here's my burden. I'm a photographer. And every year I photograph 2 jazz festivals. And within those 2 or 3 weeks, I might photograph between 3,000 and 5,000 kids. Saxophones, trumpets, big bands. In other words, each festival has about 30 to 60 big bands. And I'm looking at my viewfinder, and I'm always shocked that the percentage of students that look like me, us is whatever we call it. And there was one time, and we're gonna play in a minute. Let's give our band a hand. It's really inspiring. This generation has I don't want to say entitlement, but they have a confidence that us boomers and Gen Xers and thereabouts is a little bit different. Does it make sense what I just said? Yeah, so that's what we're after. And what I was saying was we want to increase the number of students performing in state band. You have district band, you have state band, you have all-state jazz band, you have collegiate honor bands. You have these honor groups going on, and I just don't think that we're represented. And when I was in school, we were still kind of underrepresented at the time. And I'm coming to find out through our programming is that there's a divide. The disparity between the numbers of people in these honor programs is indicative or reflective of the general situation, which is what I call the socioeconomic divide. It's what I call a symptom. And we're here to not fight that, but just encourage kids to get into music and do more things that's going to feed the soul. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Give them another round of applause. They had toes back there for a few minutes. I thought we was at the juke house for a minute there. One other person I want to acknowledge, my friend Eric Dickerson over here. He mentors a group of young black boys with the Urban Rangers, so we want to give him a shout out as well. One of the things that I forgot was the Zetas. So I'm going to cover all of these with the Divine Nine. So if you Divine Nine, just clap for yourself or clap for somebody else. That way, because I know I was going to forget somebody. So Divine Nine as well. And also the Midwesterners, where they at? You Alpha and Midwestern? Well, you guys, we really expected some big things out of you, bro. So give them a hand too, and they can start doing some things. There's something for everybody to do, and like our theme is, I can and I will. That means I can squeeze 10 minutes out of my week, or 15 minutes out of my week. You'll be surprised at what a phone call can do. You know, sometimes I send out a text blast. I call it my brother check. Just to check on our brothers and make sure we okay. Because a lot of times we ain't okay. We just pretend to be okay because that's what society does. So if I need to do it, and I'm a little bit grown, I know that our young men need to do it as well. So let's do that. Let's make a commitment here today to do that. All right? So our next person up is Jesse Frazier, and he is going to give us a
video presentation. So let's welcome Jesse in the video presentation.
For one thing, it's rough, and then growing up here in Kansas City, it's rough for mom like me, you know, so you can only imagine what it's like for kids here in this city.
The values and methods of mentoring black boys are boundless. In today's society, I think J. Cole says it best. Most of the time, all of our mentors are either dribbling balls or fiddling mics. And then there's not often someone that looks like our young men that's doing something, I mean, let's just face it, positive, that they can look up to and understand.
Well, sometimes men may not necessarily understand that they can help shape our communities in another way. They don't have to be involved in politics. They don't have to be involved in other kinds of arenas. But by understanding that pouring into the life of a young person, particularly a young male, young black men, they are going to help affect this world that we're living in, and to understand that we can help leave the world a better place than it was when we came to it if we intentionally pour into the lives of young men.
One of the most pressing issues right now is violence in our community. We have young men that don't learn how to deal with conflict very well, and they go to picking up weapons. They're quick to hurt each other, and sometimes just about a minor misunderstanding. I think we need to teach young men how to deal with their conflict, how to deal with violence, how to just de-escalate situations and not always be ready for violence.
Some of the biggest issues that black communities are facing today is the lack of positive mentors and role models. If you turn on the TV, you turn on the radio, you see examples of people that are doing non-positive actions oftentimes. And if you rewind the clock back to the 60s, a lot of our positive role models were taken from us intentionally. And it's been 50, 60 years since we've been able to create a foundation of individuals that can provide a positive example for our students. If our students see examples of positivity, of love, of community, of empathy, then they will lean towards those positive examples. But unfortunately, there's just a lack of those in our culture.
And what do you think are some of the biggest issues that young black men are facing, and how do you think mentors are coming to help with that?
Another good question. I would say young men today don't have the opportunity to get to know themselves because the people around them never got to know themselves as well. Okay, because until you do that, you don't know why you do this and you don't know why you do that. You know, figure out who you are and why you do these things that you do. One way or the other. If they're positive, you know what I'm saying? Learn why you do those positive things and keep doing them. And if they're negative, learn why you're doing those as well and learn how to stop doing those things. You know, if you don't know yourself, if you don't get to know yourself first, that's the first lesson that we have to learn in life, is knowing ourselves. Plenty of people don't ever learn that lesson. I think some of the things that's really affecting our children is what they're giving their attention to, where they're spending copious amounts of time doing. To help young men understand that where they're spending a lot of their time, if they're spending time in company that's not positive company, or hanging with people that are not going in a positive direction, and they're learning their behaviors, those kind of things can drown them in perdition along the road of life and upend their ability to be successful in education, in marriages, in being a wonderful dad down the road. All of those things can be affected by what they're getting involved in.
I think community is everything. I think back to the block I grew up on. And again, you could get in trouble from either end of that block. But there, you had a parent, or somebody's parent was going to make sure you were doing the things you ought to do. And now I think that's lost. And when you lose communities, you lose block by blocks. You have whole areas that are become blighted. You have areas that just aren't well kept. You have people that just aren't taking care of their neighbors. I think our neighbors don't know each other anymore. The area is so transient in some places where people move a lot. They don't put down roots. They don't know who their neighbors are. It makes it hard to have community. And when you don't have community, you lose everything. And I think that's what's important, is trying to build more community, build people learning to get along and take care of one another.
As I assess it from this standpoint, we've had a real dissolution of mores and values. In the Black community, we've had a disconnect based upon people starting to be independent within family systems. Many years ago in the Black family, there were multiple generations living in the same household. You had the parents, you had the grandparents, and in some cases, great-grandparents. Well, under that regime, you had mores and values passed generationally in the same household. When mom and daddy went to work, well, grandma was there to raise the kids. Because of the disconnect, they've moved away from multi-generational households, and now there's a moral decay. There's a generational gap, if you will, in mores and values. And so mentoring then allows people like me that understand what mores and values are and how they can help open doors for young people down the road. It's important for us to start to unpack.
If you can tell me about a time in your mentorship experience where you instilled some of these values into a child, in particular, that worked out for you?
I actually can. It's amazing that you asked that. I like to roller skate. I decided to go roller skating last week, just on the humbug, hey, I'm gonna go roller skating, and I went to a session that I don't usually go to. Okay, so I'm out there on the floor, I'm an excellent roller skater. I'm out there jamming on the floor, you know what I'm saying? And this huge guy skates up to me and he starts hugging me. And I'm like, bro, who are you? What are you doing? And he looks at me, he says, you don't know who I am, do you? He says, well, I'm David Parker. Well, David Parker was the littlest 10-year-old in the Boys and Girls Club. He was small. And he would always come into my computer lab and we would sit and we would talk. We would talk about everything. I taught him how to use the computer. He was brilliant. The last time I saw David, he was 10 years old. Okay, this day, David is 32 years old. He had his 5-year-old son with him, and he introduced his son to me. He said, son, this is Mr. Walker. This is the man that helped me become the man that I am for you today. All of this, my influence on that young man's life. Obviously, if you got a lot of tears, I'm almost ready to tear up now, you know what I'm saying? And that makes it all worthwhile, it really does.
In order for us to get more Black men interested in mentoring, they need to see the impact that it makes on students. So you talk about seeing the impact as a mentor. So can you tell me in your mentoring experience, what is one of the most profound experiences you've had instilling values in young men?
Yeah, I wrote about this in the article, but DJ is one of my favorite students ever. He was a kid that I met here. When I first started teaching here at De La Salle,
started teaching an African American history class that I wrote. I was based on slave rebellions. And there was a young man that was enrolled in my class, his name was DJ. And DJ hardly ever came to school. He would come to school usually to grab a bite to eat, and then, so he would be late, and then he would leave early. My class was sandwiched right in the middle of lunch, so oftentimes, just by default, he would have to catch some of our conversation, and he would have to participate in some of our discussions. And through the relationship that we started to build, right from the very beginning, I noticed that he was brilliant. And that when he did contribute to these conversations, they made them so much better. But we couldn't always get him to contribute because either he wasn't here or he wasn't shit in participating in class. And so I just started making quick little deals with him. If you don't miss a class period all week, I'll buy you lunch at the end of the week. Creating an incentive for him to start to see the value in coming to school. By the end of the semester, the first semester, he was coming to school every day. He was attending his classes and passing all of them. This is a young man that came into school not believing that he would graduate from high school because no one around him had been able to accomplish that. And he'd actually seen many people die trying to accomplish it. And through the relationship that we built, through the content and curriculum that we studied and the conversations that we had, it wasn't just the mentoring, it was also the learning that we embarked on. He was able to shift his mindset around education, shift his mindset around himself, and start to think about the potential that he had. He graduated from high school, and I will never forget the day that he got his diploma and there was tears in his eyes because he truly didn't see himself getting to that point.
One of my best moments as a mentor was running into a young man I mentored probably 20 years ago, and he's a grown man, and I didn't recognize him with a full beard in a barbershop. We figured out who we were, that we knew each other. He's a dad. He's married, he's a father. He works at a community center in New York. And it was good just to see him and see that what we poured in him, he's now giving back. I tell people all the time, I do something that you don't know if it works, right? You have to see someone as an adult and see what kind of adult they turned out to be. And I don't always get to see that. So getting a chance to see that young man or that grown man it made me feel really good to know the man he turned out to be.
You know, I mean, sometimes you don't even know that you're mentoring. You're just, having a relationship, trying to help a kid along the way. When somebody comes up 25 years later, and they thank you for what you did for them, that's incredible, man. And it's something that you never expect. I'm not one to really look in the past and, say, oh, I wonder what happened to, David Parker or anything like that. Because, there's another David Parker right there in front of me, So when they come back and, they show you what kind of effect you had and what they're doing then, that's the greatest thing in the world. I feel like what I'm doing is an advance. When you're pouring out, you're positioned to receive something back. So mentors will go away with a deep satisfaction that the world is going to be a better place from them having poured into the lives of young people. Because the young people are not only our future, but they're our present. And so when we're helping shape their worries and values, we're literally helping to shape the community for the days ahead. And so that gives them deep satisfaction. The mentor should go away with deep satisfaction. I'm doing kingdom work. I'm working in a sense of a society that's going to be the better for the work that I'm doing with this child. I'm telling you, it's worth its weight in gold.
It's our job as Black men here in Kansas City to help raise the next generation. If we don't do it, who will? We have to take the time to find a group to help mentor young African American boys. It's on us. It's on us to get it done. Right now, we have young men that are really looking for the right leadership. They're looking for the right mentor. And if African American men here in Kansas City won't do it, then who will?
Particularly in the Kansas City Metroplex, having almost 200 murders in a year, many of them young black men, helps us to understand that there's a serious need for mentoring in the Kansas City Metroplex. So I would encourage them, I would help them to understand how powerful their voice can be in helping to shape the next generation and the future of our community here in the Kansas City Metroplex and beyond by working with young black boys. I think that if we can kind of nudge them along the road in that way, we will have done a marvelous work.
Have a mentor and be one. Find someone that you look up to that is in your field or that has some similar interests as you, and seek out their counsel. Intentionally go sit at their feet and listen to the stories and the experiences and the work that they've accomplished over their time. These people won't be here forever. Then go find a young person that is struggling, that you can look at and see with your own eyes as someone that you identify with, that has needs that you've had, that maybe you can help provide for. When you are sitting in that space of having someone that you look up to and having someone look up to you, it helps hold yourself accountable to some of those pieces of advice that we're giving that we may not be following. So find yourself in an empathetic position where you're able to guide and assist someone from the younger generation and receive guidance and assistance.
For the mentor looking to become mentor, so if they're trying to find a sense of purpose within themselves, get back to life in the community. Maybe they're on the fence about it, maybe they're not sure about it. What advice would you give to them?
Well, if somebody even is thinking about it, has questions about it, then they've already made the decision. Just go do it. If you're wondering if you can be a mentor, don't wonder. Yes, you can. Go do it. If you don't know, if you have what it takes, if you have the knowledge, you do. You're a grown man. I mean, it wasn't easy to make it there. It's not easy for any grown black man, even today. So my advice is if you feel like it's something that you would want to do, but you don't have the ability, you have the ability. Just step outside of yourself. We have to try and impress upon men how important it is, not only to affect their own family systems, but to move beyond that, to work with nephews before they get into trouble. It's okay to come alongside of them at any time, but if we can help shape their mores and values in their formative years, we're going to be ahead of the game. So I think that's a good time. And so what guys like me have to do is to impress upon other men who have done well. Hey, have you ever thought about being a big brother or, to a youngster? Or have you ever thought about, taking your nephew to a ball game or taking them fishing or doing some things that would be beneficial for them, helping them to see that there's a whole lot of joy in affecting the lives of young people?
I think as a man that wants to mentor, there's several ways to do it. I think most of us are in a group of some sort, whether the fraternity, whether the church group, whether you coach a sport. We all are in some kind of a social network that if you guys would just take the time and reach out to a younger group of young men, it's easy to mentor. If you're looking for an organization that's already doing it, things like the Urban Ranger Corps, we're always looking for mentors. High Aspirations probably looking for mentors. There's groups that are all over Kansas City looking for mentors. But really the real key is find a young man that you can almost meet one-on-one. There's a young man at your church right now. There's a young man on your block that needs you. You need to just step up and take care of at least one of those young men.
So blue collar mentoring is an opportunity with Ace Thompson to be able to get involved with mentorships directly with students. High Aspirations with Henry Wash is an opportunity to get involved directly with mentorships. Lyric Institution is an opportunity for you to get directly involved with mentorships with young people. Take some time to learn about what's happening in your community and find a place where you can plug in. Block is another place where you can plug in. Take some time to contact us and let us know what your skills are and how you feel you can contribute, and we can find some way or some group or some student advocacy group and get you involved.
Oftentimes, when those boys see themselves as being something else and a mentor takes the time to show them, hey, you and me are just alike. You know, I had the same background as you, or worse, you know, and I like the same things as you. Dude, this is what you are, not how you see yourself. You know, I think that a different perspective, you know, is what these kids need on themselves so that they can see how brilliant they are, so they can see how strong they are, you know, how smart they are. Somebody needs to show them that because they can't see it themselves.
A lot of great information in that video, those testimonies and the sharing part. And one of the things I thought about.
I was trying to bring it back over here. I can't see that screen.
He brought up one heck of a point. And I tell you, the disconnect, you know, when we were growing up, most of us in the room, we had the values that Big Mama taught, Grandma taught, Mama that taught us. So as I shared earlier, Big Mama is 34 years old now. And that disconnect happened with us. And I say this, and you probably might not disagree or like it, but during the crack era, because during that crack era, we allowed, because we was out kicking and doing our thing, party over here and nothing over there, we were out there doing that, where BET Uncut was raising our kids. Then we went from BET Uncut raising our kids to video games raising our kids. And they're instilling a false sense of values in them because those values that Big Mama taught, Grandma that taught, Mama that taught us are disconnected because we was out in the club. So now we're worrying about why our kids are so, I want to say, desensitized with violence and wanting to be heard and wanting to be acknowledged. The shooting that happened, and I hate to bring this up because it's still a touchy subject, with a lot of people, but I want to do this as a point of reflection for us. That whole situation started with somebody staring at somebody. He said, "What you looking at?" according to the police report and the witness statement. He said, "What you looking at?" That led to him pulling out a gun and start shooting, chasing him through the crowd and start shooting. So when did it become not okay to look at somebody? Or when did it become so much of a disconnect that you get up in the morning, wash your face, brush your teeth, put your clothes on, and go out to a parade, but you gotta get your 9mm. Or the one little kid had an assault rifle because the people testified that it was hanging out of a book bag. So help me understand what happened in this transition to where that's what you get up and do in the morning to go out to a parade. It's just something to think about, and it gets back to what our obligation is and our inability to connect with that obligation because, one, we scared of young people, let's be honest. We're scared of them, and we scared of them because we never got into the point where we tried to establish a relationship with them. So we allow fear to create that disconnect because you don't know. You know what? When I'm driving now, I look straight ahead. I don't look at nobody because I don't understand what rolling down the window saying what you looking at. So I look straight ahead. You know what my favorite thing is when I have a disagreement with somebody? You right. We're not getting ready to argue back and forth. I ain't getting ready to push no button where you're going to pull out a pistol and shoot me or any of those other things to happen. Because one thing we know, young people don't know how to fight no more because they've been watching TV and playing video games. But it's those kind of things. So imagine, if you will, if you, John Hope Franklin and a Tribe Called Quest, they had these John Hope Bryant, rather, he had this saying, the Tribe Called Quest said, if you hang around 99 broke people, you'll be the 100. John Hope Bryant said, if you hang around 9 broke people, you'll be the 10th. So imagine if you hung around 99 successful, positive people, what you would be. Imagine if you hung around James Daniels, Merle Bennigan, if you hung around those positive people, what you would be. All of this is in this room. All the positive people are in this room. All we have to do is engage them. Don't be afraid of it. You know, you see them walking down the street, hands hanging out of it, and you say, look at that. Instead of saying, well, pull your pants up. Because that's all they want. They're not as far out there as the media, the mainstream media would have us believe. They want somebody to just show an interest in them. And they might be, have an attitude with how dare you tell me what to do. But you say, yeah, you don't see me walking around with my butt hanging out my pants. And they'll laugh. And most of the time in my encounters, I don't know about anybody else, they'll pull their pants up and say, oh, you're right, OG. I don't know what OG means, but I ain't that old. But that's the way they look at it. But it's the fact that they respect you enough to do it. That's what we need to commit to. So you're getting a lot of information. I hope you're writing this stuff down, locking it in, because we gotta reclaim our youth. They're the ones that are going to be bringing us our Social Security checks. Well, they do that direct deposit now. But they're the ones that's going to be bringing you your light bill, your gas bill, Spire. But there are, a lot of times we talk about they are future. No, they're not. They're our present. They're right now. We got to stop treating them like they're our future. They're our present. Not only with the generation rap, he had all these young people for decades that he mentored through generation rap. And it's not really been the same since they stopped having it. But look at all the successful young people that have come through generation rap. One, because they were mentored through Dominique, Carl Boyd, through other people, and setting an example of seeing what they could be. They could be a James Daniels. Custom-made suits, lawyer, smart young man, great family, boys, they could see that. I would rather them see that than to see Ray Ray. I know who Ray Ray is, right? Okay. So you got a choice. You want them to see James Daniels or you want them to see Ray Ray? You want James Daniels to be their role model and mentor or Ray Ray? I'm going to say James Daniels. Anyway, I'm rambling. But somebody said thank you, so thank you. You got to do that. So why is mentoring important? I'm glad you asked. And Dr. Bernard Franklin is going to tell us why it is important. Dr. Franklin.
Good morning. Good morning. Good, you're still here. There's so much that has been said already, and so much more needs to be said. I'm thankful to be here, thankful to be with all of you, thankful that you made time to be with us. Grateful for all of you who have made a contribution to my life, and especially grateful for Dr. Jim Nunley. Dr. Numley was instrumental when I was working at the National Center for Fathering, helping me understand how to connect with combat and with those men who were involved in combat and helping them strengthen their fathering skills. So Dr. Numley, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. I have left the area. I reside in Boston now. I work with an organization called Uncornered. Uncornered focuses specifically on connecting with the shooter in Boston, Kansas City, and Providence, Rhode Island. Our mission, our purpose is to stop violence, and we're working hard to stop violence here. We go after the shooter. Not that I'm not concerned about those around the shooter. If we're going to stop violence, I got to get to the shooter. So I left here because I wanted to understand a bit more about counseling psych. I have a master's and a PhD in counseling psych and family studies. My training came out of a Freudian model, and we understand Freud, or those of you who took psychology courses. The Freudian model is limited to some of the stuff we're talking about today. Much of what we know today is that the brain can heal, that the brain is malleable, the brain can shape, reshape itself, that we can create new neural pathways in the brain that will cause new behavior, that will cause a way of thinking that can move us in a different direction. There's a book that I would recommend those of you who might be interested after I'm done, called The Body Keeps the Score, by Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, K-O-L-K. Dr. van der Kolk and his team began to ask questions for those men and women who came back from Afghanistan, from Vietnam, and from other wars. Why were they stuck? Why were they responding even years after hearing bombs or seeing tragedies that they saw? Why were they still reacting in those ways? And so from that work came this whole movement called Trauma Informed. And so we talk a lot about trauma today, and we use it almost like it's more of a simple word. But I want to take this a little deeper today, because I want to help us understand really why it's important for us to mentor young men, and how do we get to the deepest levels, to the men Dr. Wesson was talking about, those that we are afraid of, those that we don't see. Now understand, I want us to mentor through Big Brothers, Big Sisters. I want us to mentor through Boys and Girls Clubs. But friends, there are a lot of boys on the street who don't have a father. Essence Magazine reported about 2000 that 91% of urban African American boys will go to bed tonight without their biological father present. 91% of urban African American boys will go to bed tonight without their biological father present. And friends, in our city, there are neighborhoods where there are no healthy men. Those boys in those neighborhoods need you too. And we can't be afraid. We can't walk away with their hands down, or however they are. We have to find a way to connect. So I've been studying Black boys and men's development since 1985. It was my research project for my master's. It was my research project for my PhD. I continue. It is my passion. My son is here. Blake, would you stand? Blake is 33 years old. Blake has his own insurance agency. I'm pouring into him. So I'm not telling you to do something that I'm not doing with my own. I have 2 other adult sons that live in Topeka. I have 8 grandchildren. I'm a blessed man. I love my grandchildren. But what I want us to understand is just to go a little bit deeper so that we can get a full knowledge of what I'm talking about. And then before I go much further, let me just say this too, because I speak all over the country and I get pushback. I get pushback. I get hard pushback because sometimes what people hear when I speak is that I'm only concerned about boys. I want to be as emphatically clear with you today as I can be. That I love my girls. I love my black girls. I love my black girls. I have a black girl. And my black girl calls me often saying, Daddy, I'm tired of asking a boy out and he doesn't have money to pay for the movie. Or he doesn't have a car and I have to go pick him up. Or after the first date, he wants a bit more than I want to put out. And so I have this dialogue with my daughter because I want her to understand that's Daddy's passion. And that's why she comes to me, because she knows that's my passion. But I care about my girls. So would you look to the right, say to the person next to you, we love our girls too. I do not want us to walk away from here saying we don't love girls. I love girls. We love girls. But friends, this is a day for boys. This is a day for boys, and we're not going to be ashamed of that. We're not going to walk out of here saying, I shoulda, I woulda. We're going to claim it. We're going to be firm about it. We're going to embrace it. We care about our boys. So listen with me. I'm going to read a poem. And I want you to listen with me. And I'll flesh it out for you. The poem is My Name is Toxic Shame. I was there at your conception, in the epinephrine of your mother's shame. You felt me in the fluid of your mother's womb. I came upon you before you could speak, before you understood, before you had any way of knowing. I came upon you when you were learning to walk, when you were unprotected and exposed, when you were vulnerable and needy, before you had any boundaries. My name is Toxic Shame. I came upon you when you were magical, before you could know I was there. I severed your soul. I pierced you to the core. I brought you feelings of being flawed and defective. I brought you feelings of distrust and ugliness, stupidity and doubt, worthlessness, inferiority, and unworthiness. I made you feel different. I told you there was something wrong with you. I soiled your godlikeness. My name is Toxic Shame. I existed before conscience, before guilt, before morality. I am the master emotion. I am the internal voice that whispers words of condemnation. I am the internal shudder that courses through you without any mental preparation. My name is Toxic Shame. I live in secrecy, in the deep, moist banks of darkness, depression, and despair. Always I sneak upon you. I catch you off guard. I come through the back door, uninvited, unwanted, the first to arrive. I was there at the beginning of time with Father Adam, Mother Eve, Brother Cain. I was at the Tower of Babel, the slaughter of the innocents. My name is Toxic Shame. I come from shameless caretakers, abandonment, ridicule, abuse, neglect, perfectionistic systems. I am powered by the shocking intensity of a parent's rage, the cruel remarks of siblings, the jeering humiliation of other children, the awkward reflection in the mirrors, the touch that feels icky and frightening, the slap, the pinch, the jerk that raptures trust. I am intensified by a racist, sexist culture, the righteous condemnation of religious bigots, the fears and pressures of schooling, the hypocrisy of politicians, the multi-generational shame of dysfunctional family systems. My name is toxic shame. I can transform a black boy like a little selfish little bastard. I bring pain that is chronic, a pain that will not go away. I am the hunter that stalks you night and day, every day somewhere. I have no boundaries. You try to hide from me, but you cannot, because I live inside of you. But you cannot. I make you feel hopeless, like there is no way out. My name is toxic shame. My pain is so unbearable that you must pass me on to others through control, perfectionism, contempt, criticism, blame, envy, judgment, power, and rage. My pain is so intense. You must cover me up with addictions, rigid roles, enactment, and unconscious ego defenses. My pain is so intense that you must numb me out, no longer feel. I convince you that I'm gone, that I do not exist. You experience absence and emptiness. My name is toxic shame. I am the core of codependency. I am spiritual bankruptcy, the logic of absurdity, the repetition of compulsion. I am crime, I am violence, I am incest, I am rape, I am the voracious hole that fuels all addictions. I am instability, I am lust. I am Havarice the Wandering Jew, Wagner's Flying Dutchman, Dostoevsky's Underground Man, Kierkegaard's Seducer, Gauss' Faust. I twist you into what you do and have. I murder your soul and pass me on to the next generation. I am toxic shame. Now, why would I read that? I need to take us deeper into why mentoring is important. And I need you to understand that some of our work has to be to get to the core of some of our young men. In my master's program at TCU, the instructor started on the first day. The most dangerous place for children today is in utero. Here. I stopped her because that wasn't Freudian. I needed to understand what she was talking about. And she said, frankly, when a mother is anxious, when a mother is fearful, when a mother is mad because the father of her child is leaving her, does not accept her, when a mother smokes, when a mother drinks, A mother is flooding her baby with cortisol and adrenaline that does nothing but bring shame and all that I just described on that child. There is order in God's creation. The sun comes up, the sun goes down. Birds fly, not even thinking, will there be wind? They just do. There's order. We've lost order and don't understand the impact of disorder. That when we procreate and we don't bring a child and the parents together, we impart shame. We pass shame on to that unborn baby. That baby is born, and years ago, we used to call those crying babies colicky babies. Those are shame-based babies, fear-based babies, scared babies, whose bodies full of cortisol and adrenaline cannot process their milk. They are not simply colicky babies. They are shame-based babies. A lot of our boys with no fathers are shame-based boys. A lot of our boys walking the streets are shame-based boys. They hear pain in ways that you and I can't understand. They hear a brokenness that you and I can't understand. They hear a stupidity, a worthlessness that you and I can't understand. So I want us to mentor those boys who are in school. I want you to. But I also want you to go find those boys who have a shame-based background, who are fearful and anxious and looking for you, looking for somebody to pour upon them. Now, how are we going to do this? Excuse me, I have a dry mouth. We're going to figure out how we create ways for men to talk. In 1996, I got a grant to go to Africa. I wanted to study the heritage of African American men. I wanted to understand how 91% of urban African American boys go to bed tonight without their biological father present. I knew there were some characteristics related to slavery. I knew there were some issues related to coming on that boat. I knew some of that. I knew Jim Crow, I knew lynching, I know all of that. I know from Dr. DeGrew's work, post-traumatic slave disorder. I got all that. I had all that. But I wanted to go over to see what were African men like who came on the ships for fatherhood. What were African American men who came on those ships like for husbands? And what were they like for men? I didn't stay in a hotel. Everywhere I went in Ghana, Ivory Coast, and Equatorial Guinea, I went in the bush. And yeah, the first couple of weeks were really rough because many of those villages didn't have running water, toilets, or some of the fine things that we have in America. But I knew if I were going to get to the truth, I had to get where they were. My first encounter with a tribe, this man in this garb came up to me and said, "What took you so long to come home?" Floored me. It sounded like my grandfather. He says, "You send white people over to proselytize us. Why don't you come home?" First lesson. First real lesson. We do send white Christians over to Africa, but we don't go home. First lesson. The second lesson that night was to see the men and the boys get together at a little camp. And they talked. They shared stories. They talked about hunting, and they have distinct rites of passage. Little boys, they take them out hunting. And how to hunt the big game, how to do that, how to go get it done. It was moving, it was impactful, but I understood it. I came back and I said, that's our difference. Is we've lost the ability of men getting together and sitting and just being men. So what do they talk about? They talk about their challenges, they talk about their issues, they talk about their stuff. And when a man is not responsible for his household, for his family, they give him one chance. They'll cut off the tip of his little finger and say, we're warning you. He doesn't get a second chance. When he abuses, mistrusts, doesn't provide, they banish him to the wild. That's it. And his brother assumes responsibility for the family. Now, what were they talking about? All kinds of stuff. What do I want us to do? Friends, I have a private practice in Boston. When I'm here at home in Kansas City, I'll see men on occasion. There's a thread through my work, and this is why I'm giving you this focus right now. A lot of our men are broken. A lot of those boys in the street are broken. And I would imagine if we could hold a circle of men right in this room, there's some broken men right in this room. The number of men I've encountered who've been raped or molested by their grandmother, by an aunt, or by an uncle, and they've never talked about it. They've never brought it up. That's the nature of toxic shame. That's where we are as a community. We don't have safe spaces for our brothers to tell us, to really get the crap out. Or to really talk about, maybe not so much what was done to them, but what they've done to others that have brought shame to them and their mistreatment of women or other children. So prison becomes one of those places where we get that done. And I've been trying to understand how do my brothers come out Muslim and not Christian? There's something about the brotherhood of Muslims in prison that allows those brothers to have a hard conversation that we don't have in the Christian church. I'm going to take my seat, but I think you get my drift. If we're going to save our community, we got to stop playing. If we're going to save our community, we got to take it deeper. If we're going to save our community, we got to take the mask off, and we got to be real men. The number one leading cause of death for black boys 14 to 25 is homicide. The number one, 14 to 25, homicide. The second leading cause of death for black boys 14 to 25 is suicide. I don't have nobody to talk to. I don't have nowhere to go. And I might have been raped, or I might have sexual identity issues, but I can't talk to nobody. Friends, I take my work very serious. I'm frustrated with our community that we're not getting it done. And we're going to leave a fine facility like this. We're going to leave a fine gathering like this in our same frame of mind. You're going to go back. You're going to continue to do the things you do. You're going to overlook your own pain, men. Your own pain, your own shame. You're going to overlook your own stuff. Just so you can look good. Drive a nice car, live in a nice house, wear nice suits. I'm tired of it. Our brothers need us.
Thank you, Dr. Franklin. We would like to call Brian Timberline, and he's going to have a music and empowerment for us. And I'd like to also call up Dr. Franklin again and Jamal Berry. Even though they aren't on the program, they're gonna have a little brief panel discussion, and then Ms. Anita Montevilla. So if you all would come up now and start transitioning backstage, that'd be great.
How y'all doing today? We can do a little better now. How y'all doing today? All right. My name is Brian Eberlead. I'm an 8-time author from Tampa, Florida. I am a mentor to many. I'm a father first. And I came here to talk to you today, and I have a few minutes to give you a lifetime of information, so I'm going to get right to it. But I do want to start by giving away one of my books. Are there any young men in here that want to be a leader and a change in their community? Put your hands up for me. My man right here. Let me give this book. Y'all clap it up for this young man. I have more of my books available, and I'll show them to them in a minute. But like I said, I only have a few minutes to give you what I came to offer you. So I want to start just by making sure that we are on the same page vibrationally. So if you don't mind, we're going to start with a few affirmations. That's okay with you? Okay, these affirmations come out of my first book. It's called Manifesting You. It's 111 keys to unlocking your divinity. It's currently in 154 countries, changing a lot of lives. And I know somebody is going to be impacted by these words today. So repeat after me, if you will. Say, I am letting go of every part of me that is not contributing to my elevation. That sounds good. Let's do that one more time. I am letting go of every part of me that is not contributing to my elevation. I am moving forward with dignity, grace, and patience. I am welcoming this new chapter with the highest level of gratitude and humility. My spirit rises to match the new and magical beginnings that await me. Low vibrating energies can't reach me at this height. My vision is locked and focused on the multiple blessings that are coming my way. Greater shall I be, greater shall I do, and greater shall I have. Make some noise for your greatness if you believe it. I know some artists, some performers, some celebrities that if they was up here and we told you to clap for them, you would have made more noise for them. So make some more noise for your greatness right here, right now. See, this is the time, this is the point where I'm supposed to trauma bond with you. I'm supposed to come up here and tell you how hard my life was, the things I went through, how I persisted through it, and great things happened. And because of that, you can do it too. But I didn't come here to trauma bond with you. I came here to form a divinity bond with you. I came here so the God in me can speak to the God in you, because I know they told you to look for God everywhere else except inside you. So that's the type of time that we're on. You with me? Because as I speak to the God in you, you have a choice. You can either confirm or deny the existence of that God. So everybody here has a choice today. But I showed up to represent the divine masculine energy that goes around this planet, breaking generational curses and creating generational wealth. And as I'm here for Mentor Me, I love how the root word mentor is what? That's right, men. So, men, it's time to become deliberate creators of our reality, because whether you want to accept it or not, you are a creator of your reality, but it's time for you to be a deliberate creator of your reality. It's time for you to be a leader in our communities, and you already know that. What you may not know, what they may not have said, is that you can't lead a community, you can't lead a household, you can't lead yourself. So let's talk about you for a moment, John. Because you gotta know who you are. You know? Like I said, my name is Brian Eberlead. I've spent most of my life, I'm 39 years old, I've spent most of my life pronouncing my own name wrong because I was taught by Americans how to say the Haitian name. They said, your name is Hippolyte. And that's how I've spent most of my life, saying my own name wrong. There's so many things about us that we've allowed other people to tell us what they are. And it's time for you to know who you are, because if you know who you are, you know what you are, you'll know what you must become. You'll know who and what you must protect. You'll know who and what your enemies are. You'll know what your strengths are, and you'll know what your weaknesses are. You see, a knowledge of self, as my book says, a knowledge of self creates a love of self. A love of self demands a respect of self, and that respect of self will guide you to the best version of self. I tell all my young ones that I mentor, you should know 6 things about you. You should know your wills and your wants, your do's and your don'ts, your must-haves and your non-negotiables. Do you know those things about you? Again, if you never heard that before, that's your wills and your wants, your do's and your don'ts, your must-haves and your non-negotiables. Know these things about yourself. See, most of us have lived under this false pretense that we are valuable based off of what we do and not who we are. I don't know if you had a chance to see our wonderful sound man in the back, but the king is wearing a shirt that says something like, I'm the guy, like no one knows what I do until I don't do it. And I don't know if you know what it takes to do something like this when it comes to sound and video and stuff. I know a lot of men who feel the same exact way. Till we've been lied to. So long that we've begun to lie to ourselves and begin to really believe that this performance-based life is what it is, and that we're valued based off our persistence instead of our existence. And we've gone on catering to how to meet other people's expectations instead of meeting your own elevation. It's time to change that. You've forgotten how powerful you are, how purposeful your life is. Because you spent so many years defining your work based off your titles, your relationships, and how well you can manipulate your reality to cater to your ego. None of these things define you. So release that burden of fulfilling other people's expectations. Release the burdens of unforgiveness that you have for yourself and for those around you.
Train yourself.
And stop catering to these desires that are not leading you to the best version of yourself. If you want to live a life of healing, happiness, and wholeness, and that's something that each and every one of you should have. Your elevation is overdue. So embrace it and reject anything that's not leading you to that, because the truth is, your purpose and your power is much greater than your problems. You are allowed, man, to be both a work of art and a work in progress. I want to give you 4 things to work on, man, and we'll start with discipline. See, a man is a slave to anything he cannot walk away from, or dismiss when he needs to. The next thing that we need to focus on is our emotions. We've heard men talk about this already today. The problems that we're facing because of not being able to control our emotions. They make prisons and cemeteries for those of us who can't control our emotions. It's time to take your emotions to school and allow them to grow and learn so you can be emotionally intelligent and stop allowing these emotions to overpower your logic. Next thing we have to work on is our attitudes. Our attitude is either an educated or uneducated choice. What shall it be for you? Your attitude is often based on how you feel about yourself, how you feel about your past, and how you feel about your future. thing to work on is purpose. So I go around the whole planet helping people identify a purpose. I'm wearing a shirt that says suicide ain't it. I see a lot of men taking their lives, and when I've had the chance to talk to someone that was on the ledge, the way I talk them off of the ledge is by redefining their purpose. Because what do they say? I feel like I don't have a purpose. I feel like I don't have a reason to live. You must be connected, not just to a purpose, but a defined purpose. So it's time to align yourself with that. My shortcut to do that is to take your God-given talents, passions, and tie them in with the people that you want to help. When I was a kid, I needed a mentor, I needed a role model, I needed a symbol of hope. I needed a man who looked like me that would tell me what it looked like to be a good man. And since I didn't have that, I went looking for things that I thought would make me. I was happy to say that Tupac was my greatest influence. I was happy to say that drug dealers taught me economics and entrepreneurship. I was happy to say that pimps and abusers taught me how to treat women. I couldn't wait to go to prison because that's where all the men were. My father didn't know my address most of my life, but his demon sure knew how to find me. You get what I'm saying? And this is why mentorship is so important. Because our young men lack men to confide in. So there's 4 things, before I get to the song selection, there's 4 things that I want you to know that every successful man has had. I've studied a lot of successful people. There's 4 things that they all had. They all had a philosophy. They all had a good attitude. They all had supporting activities. And they all had an aligned lifestyle. So I've told you about who you are. Now I want to show you who you are by being a reflection. There's a song that I have that's been going around the world. It's called Mirror. I'm going to perform that for you before I get out of here. So what I need you to do right now, stand to your feet. All right, check 1, 2.
Oh, you had a choice. Oh, you didn't know that you was gifted. You ain't know that stuff you went through just set you up for winning. Oh, you ain't know that you was chosen. You ain't know that you was golden. You ain't know you was important, huh? Oh, you ain't know you had a purpose much bigger than anything you ever considered. You ain't know. Well, I'ma be your mirror. Look. You have something to offer, you are not your mistakes. You want to share your thoughts, but then nobody relates. Low ball your word, and that's the irony, isn't it? When a life is significance, but don't think it's significant. You gotta shift your thinking, get in line with your infinite. Release all the negative beliefs that you're dealing with. I know you can hear me. You know who you are. Identify with your greatness instead of your scars. Let's let go of all these labels. You are not defective. Be your first to know. Your presence is a blessing. In today's lesson, I need for you to learn that you can only have what you believe you deserve. Check your self-perception, your thoughts and your actions. The secret is understanding the law of attraction. Look, it's time to start living out your passions. That's how you get your feelings rising up about the passions. Oh, you didn't know that you was gifted. You ain't know that stuff you went through just set you up for winning. You ain't know. Oh, you ain't know that you was chosen. You ain't know that you was golden. You ain't know you was important, huh? Oh, you ain't know you had a purpose much bigger than anything you ever considered. You ain't know. Well, I'ma be your mirror, so you can see it clear. I took it out of my mind, put it all in my hands. If you was counting me out, cancel all of them plans. I'm selling dope in the open. These are audiograms. Apply real pressure, things stay strong enough to withstand. I'm built different, it feels different, it's real different. When you embrace what makes you different, and that makes a difference. This is self-love, this is self-healing. Real wealth, believe yourself, I pray you know the feeling. This is self-awareness, this is self-acceptance. It's about that time you turn your flaw into a secret weapon. I was destined, ain't see a way, so I made my own. Make my own, stumbling blocks, turning stepping stones. Private planes, my daughter stepping on. Manifested, I got my blessings on. Bloomed in the midst of a storm that would have killed you. They tell me when they need you, the real was gonna kill you. I tell them we go win, no matter that hand they deal you. I was Tupac, staring at the world through my rearview. But you can't drive forward, staring in the rear view. You gotta have a clear view on this road of life, so never make moves on what you see in the rear view. Listen, kids, I'm just trying to prepare you. Face your fears, you'll learn from what scares you. And if you hold back tears, let them tear through. You can outgrow your problems. I did, you had a twist. Didn't know that you was gifted. You ain't know that stuff you went through just set you up for winning. You ain't know. Or you ain't know that you was chosen. You ain't know that you was golden. You ain't know you was important. You ain't know. Or you ain't know you had a purpose much bigger than this thing you ever considered. You ain't know. Well, I'ma be your mirror, so you can see it clearer. That's you. That's you. That's you. That's you. Look at that greatness. That's you. That's you. That's you. Look at that greatness. That's you. That's you. That's you. Look at that greatness. That's you. That's you. That's you. Look at this greatness. That's you. Y'all make some noise for y'all greatness. Y'all make some noise for y'all ability. Y'all make some noise for breaking these chains that's been holding our people down. Y'all make some noise for the greatness that we want to create for what we're doing here today. Because like I said, your purpose and your power is so much greater than your problems. So whatever you're going through, these storms aren't here to take you out. They're here to move some things out the way that's not supposed to be there so you can get where you need to go. So show greatness. Oh, you had it twisted. Oh, you didn't know that you was gifted. You ain't know that stuff you went through just set you up for winning. You ain't know. Oh, you ain't know that you was chosen. You ain't know that you was golden. You ain't know you was important. You ain't know. Oh, you ain't know you had a purpose much bigger than anything you ever considered. You ain't know. Well, I'ma be your mirror, so you can see it clearer. That's you. That's you. That's you. That's you. Brother, look at that. You can cut that. That's you. You can cut that. That's you. That's you. Because I want to leave y'all on this note. I want to leave y'all on this note. I'm in boxing class, visualizing my father's face on a punching bag, low key hoping for an owner while I be rushing. See, how he did my mama dirty is to have me stuck in the past, and the way I'm moving forward, he won't be ducking these jabs. I want him to feel it. You see, I felt like hurting him would help with my healing. Dealing with tension I was building all the times I forgave him, only him for him to come back around with more toxic behavior. I keep releasing resentment. But when my mama transitioned, anger strangled my heart. The fact that he was still living. I tried to abandon his feelings like he abandoned his children. I learned to depend on myself while he depended on women. Generational curses working overtime, and I guess his father didn't bother to show him how to clean up his mess, so maybe he had him. My dad just ain't followed the steps. Either way, somehow, his demons found my mother's address and sat down my bed as I slept, whispering that I'm heck, started breathing down my neck like, yeah, you next. They said, you gonna be an addict too and live a life of regrets. They said, you think he's bad, you'll be the worst. And your emotions will get the best. They said, you'll feel entitled to titles you ain't earned and didn't protect. My biggest flex is that I rose above it. Determined to learn to be something with no example of it. So this life I've built, I love it and I wouldn't take it back for nothing. There's no hate and no grudges. I turn lack into abundance. And you can too. Thank you. I have books. I do weekly classes on personal development. I have coaching programs. Come see me if you want to get into any of that. Kansas City, I love y'all life, and I'll be back here to build with y'all soon. I'm Brian Evilly. Look forward to meeting y'all out there. Peace and blessings. That's you. Look at that greatness. That's you. That's you. That's you.
So we are transitioning. Please bear with us. We're a little bit over, but our time schedule. So I'd like to introduce to you a panel discussion, even though it's not on your hard copy, it's a part of the program. The people that will be participating in it are Jamal Berry. Jamal is the CEO of Educare DC, a 25-school national network that serves as a platform for broader change, inspiring high-quality programs in communities, and improving public policies and demonstrating comprehensive approach to the first 5 years of life and learning. Educare serves over 400 children from prenatal to age 5. Excellence in everything is Jamal's guiding principle. He is living out his passion by guiding the next generation. He's joined on the panel by Dr. Bernard Franklin, who we saw earlier. Dr. Franklin is nationally recognized as a passionate advocate for children and youth who come from hard places. One of the first African American students to be elected president of the predominantly Caucasian campus in the U.S., graduated from Kansas State University in 1976. Franklin also,
Nice to have you with us, man, from all the way from DC. So give us a little bit more about your background and your work with Mentoring.
All right, so hello everyone, and thank you for having me all the way from Washington, D.C., Maryland. I appreciate this group for reaching out. So my background is in early childhood education. Undergrad, I went to a historical Black college, University of Maryland, and studied pedagogy, which is child and adolescent studies, and then went on to George Washington for a master's in the EDS in early childhood. Also, a part of the best fraternity ever, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. So through that, I've been doing mentoring as well. Right now, currently I'm a co-convener of DC Men in DC's initiative to recruit, retain, and to advance 100 men in DC into the early childhood education field. Through Omega Psi Phi, we have a graduate chapter that we started for undergraduate day brothers only, where we're retaining and bringing undergrad brothers just back into the active fold, and we're also mentoring in that capacity as well. So throughout the years, whether it's been mentoring younger fraternity brothers, and then I think, as we've heard today, through just teaching and being an educator, pre-K teacher for years, has been a part of my mentoring journey.
All right, you talked about a little bit there. Less than 2% of all public school teachers are men. So many of our boys can go to buildings where there's no men in the building at all. Why is it important for us to recruit, train, bring back brothers to be in the classroom and buildings and projectors?
I think the theme of today has been representation matters, right? You heard that from the doctor, you heard it from other speakers, that the more you see yourself in society, the more you can imagine yourself in that role. And so with only having 2% of men in public schools, period, and less in early childhood, this is why we don't have a lot of teachers coming to the field. For myself, I had a 6th grade teacher who played basketball with us, and so not only could he teach us math and long division, but then he took his tie off and he started to play sports during recess. And I think those are some of the pivotal kind of role models in my life that encouraged me to go into early childhood education.
So today, psychologists, social workers are describing a preschool to prison pipeline. 10 years ago, we used to say 3rd grade to prison pipeline. Now we're saying preschool to prison pipeline. Man, what's going on with preschool boys?
Yeah, so there's a lot of research out right now from Walter Gilliam from Yale University that talks about pre-K expulsions. When you go into a pre-K classroom, and I've seen it, I've seen children that, may have ODD, ADD, which is oppositional defiance disorder. That's where we label it, but it's around toxic stress and things that happen in utero. And this one particular child used to punch himself in the nose until he bled, right? Until he could get on the tablet. Or you have other children who are, I think the pastor said it earlier, they're larger, right? As Black kids, we're typically taller, we're larger, and so what then happens, we have this fear that happens from teachers and even, Black female teachers as well sometimes that are afraid of young Black boys that are active. And so with that, Black boys are expelled at a rate 3 times higher than that of girls and of their white counterparts. And so a lot of states have put in law to stop that from happening, but it doesn't mean, we're an inundated group of people, right? So you can't kick them out that way. We do other things. You call their parents every day. You see all that happens, and then there's a disconnect, right? So children out of school, attendance is tied to outcomes. Children aren't in school. Children aren't getting the relationships that they need, and that just further perpetuates that prison pipeline.
So Jamal, we may have some young brothers out here today who would consider a preschool instructor or a teacher, but they can't afford it. How can we build up more men in preschool, more men in public school, if they can't afford the salary?
Yeah, so we can do some innovative things. DC, I'm a part of the Under 3 DC Coalition. In DC, we passed what's called the Birth to 3 law. And the Birth to 3 law, it basically is universal 0 to 3. A lot of states have gone to universal pre-K systems. DC also has that, where about 94% of 3 and 4-year-olds are at some type of public setting, whether it's public school, charter school, or a community-based organization, which is what Educare Washington DC is. And so if we're able to, with the 0 to 3 law, we passed the law where we tax the top 1%, 1.5% more. They passed that law. With that, we created $75 million in revenue. Now, all of our lead teachers make $75,000 starting out with a bachelor's. So for early childhood education, that's changed the narrative. I wish when I came out of undergrad that I had made that much money, but I had to get a master's and get other degrees in order to get to that range. And so, that's helping to stop this glass ceiling where the men that are in the field actually get promoted way further than others because they're the cream of the crop, right? And they're in that position. So if we can have more men in the field, we could actually keep more strong male teachers.
All right, Ben, so here we have the Kaufman Foundation. The Kaufman Foundation has their own school. We also have the Helzberg Jewelers. They have University Academy. Whether we went to Kaufman or Helzberg, and they said, you could create your own school here in Kansas City. What would your school look like?
So I was telling my man over here that, Educare DC is first based in Head Start. And I would use a Head Start model. Head Start, which, came from the war on poverty, but it's a system where we really encourage family engagement. We really center in on children's learning. So it would be based in that. The thing I would add to Head Start, and I had the opportunity to do some research with other Black majority educator schools where we thought about and we learned about African-centered teaching and thinking about some of the principles that our ancestors actually taught and thought about, and I would encourage to add that in. So there's a book called Reawakening the African Mind that talks about a lot of those principles, and you see a difference in a lot of the African-centered teaching programs that are out here. Some of them, like Malcolm X, they're different programs, but you see a difference in suspension rates, you see a difference in respect, because I think that gets some of those strategies that we had back then.
Jamal, how long are you going to be here today?
I will light it up for. I'll be here probably about 30.
All right. So you have some time afterwards. Maybe people have more questions. But your last one that I want to ask you, what does effective mentoring look like? Help us really understand from an academic education standpoint. What is effective mentoring and what does it look like?
So I would say effective mentoring is relational. I think, some people may have said it earlier, but when you think about a mentor, it's a bi-directional relationship, which means I have to want you to mentor me, right? I have to see you as somebody that's doing something positive, and you also need that person to need you, right? So there has to be that. I also think when you think about a strong mentoring relationship or program, that there has to be some structure, right? There's check-ins, whether those are virtual or in person. There's accountability there. You can't call somebody a mentor and see them once a year, right? That's not mentoring. And so you have to have some accountability measures that are also in place. And in my organization, we believe in continuous quality improvement. So with that, you're asking, how is this working for you? You're consistently going back to them, figuring out if they're growing, if there's somewhere where you need to course correct, and then you put that in place.
Dr. Jamal, man, we wish we had more time. Maybe you could give folks your number, your contact information, and they can get back in touch with you. Brother, it's good to have you here.
Our next person up is Ms. Anita Maltabia, and then she'll be followed by our keynote speaker, Mr. Louis Negroin, who is the CEO and president of 100 Black Men of Atlanta. Using his more than 20 years of experience in nonprofit fundraising, he has developed partnerships that supports his organization's initiative to mentor, educate, enrich, and empower at-risk youth. His goals include establishing 100 Black Men of Atlanta as the protector of the city's youth. After Ms. Maltabia, he'll be our next speaker.
Thank you, Eric. Good afternoon, everybody. This has been rich. This has been rich. Thank you, Lord, for the sunshine outside. And thank you, Lord, for the beauty in here that you chose on this day to come give up your time and support. On the front of this special edition of our Health Matters, there's a quote by Frederick Douglass, which says, "It is easier to build strong children than to replace broken men." Profound. In that special edition, one of the people featured, Dr. Alan Green, said, "Building men is better than mending boys." And isn't that the essence of what we've been talking about all day today? Mentoring is critical. The value of it is immeasurable, although the outcomes are very tangible. And it is noble work. So the key word here is work. And to that end, our Health Matters is going to present on March the 16th the opportunity for those who are so moved to become mentors, to come together and gain some very tangible nuts and bolts information about what is required and what they might expect. So on March the 16th, for a few hours, and it is being held at St. James United Methodist Church, sponsored by Our Health Matters. You will be receiving information about that, so please stay tuned, because after we have heard all of this good information, the next thing that has to happen is action. We've been in touch with several of the nonprofits that do great jobs in mentoring. And some representatives may be here in the audience from those groups. Boys and Girls Club of Greater Kansas City. Is Sherman Thomas here by any chance? Big Brothers and Big Sisters, Mohammedia. High Aspirations, I know they didn't have anybody here because they work with the boys on Saturday, so that's where they are. 100 Black Men of Kansas City, Ken Lumpkins, and Urban Rangers Corps Eric Dickinson. We will have representatives on March the 16th at that workshop to give people good, tangible, practical information on how to be an effective mentor. Thank you for being here, and we look forward to seeing you on March the 16th.
Our keynote speaker.
Kansas City, peace and blessings from Atlanta. My name is Vernon Luis Negron. It is a pleasure to be out with you, family. I have to say that it's been a warm welcome. Thank you for Ruth and her organization. My brothers at Kappa Psi, my brothers of the 100 Black Men, my Morehouse brothers that are president from the local chapter, and all the other brothers and sisters that are here. Today has been a very powerful, impactful day. You've heard from many experts, so I'm not going to bore you with that part. I love the fact that we ended on solutions. I will say this, I'll share some knowledge with you because my time has been cut short, but let's move forward with this. I think we have an opportunity now to form a coalition to go forward. The sponsors that were here, that gave money, the Kauffman Foundation, I say you know after the Hunt Foundation, the United Way, I didn't see here today, but let's go after the United Way. There needs to be a convening that happens. A backbone organization needs to be formed. And the backbone organization, I'll be biased, I'll call it out. I love the Loops to lead it because the foundation they have and the guiding principles that they have. And the reason I say that is we have to put all egos aside to save brothers and young people who are Black and brown in this community so we can be able to move it forward. So number one, many experts are already in here. Many of you already done the training, the nonprofits, the aspects, but the coalition to move forward, KC forward, has to be non-egotistic, has to have the opportunity to have humility with it. This is for the organization, the CEO, talk about, well, who will get the funding, who will lead it. Don't worry about that now. What's more important is what are going to be the key performance indicators that you want to be able to achieve with the students you work with in this community. Also, Black and brown. You can't forget those. Nosotros que hablamos en español. You can't forget about those on the west side of KC here. All right, we all came over one way or another, either on a ship, we walked across the border, however you want to say it. But at the end of the day, it's Black and brown boys that are suffering the most. So KC, let's be real with that. I'm Afro-Latino, so I represent both sides. My dad's a Black Puerto Rican, my mom's white Puerto Rican. I grew up in Oakland, California, so let's get real. At the end of the day, backbone organization, a convening, so we can move the action forward from today. This is a great start. There's many of you in here that have many years experience in this work than I do. But again, we have to be able to be smart about it. We have to be organized. We have to go to funders to let them know what it is exactly we need. So I know there's organizations here that work to get guns off the streets. I know there's mentoring, there's opportunities. But we have to do the work ourselves. And I know there's people that talk about trauma informed. I heard about that. How do we do that work? So let's start with this. Can we agree today that we'll move forward with the actions to have the conversation to move forward to work with one another? It doesn't have to be 10 organizations. It could be 3 or 4, but we can start there. All right. I've already talked to several people in the audience because they said, can you come back? I will be back with my wife, Dr. Adrienne Pinckney, to be able to do work here. We have a good friend named Ashley Owens. She's from Kansas City, Kansas, Dr. Owens. But we will come back because I really have to say that this community reminds me of Oakland, California in the 1980s when I was living through the crack epidemic as a young person and what I had to sustain to get out of there so I could be alive at 25 and graduate from Morehouse. So I don't want to see any other young person here in Kansas City suffer through any of that. So if we work together to be collective, to be impactful, to have key performance indicators, and to make a difference, that's the start. Can we agree? Again, when it comes to funding, we have to figure out what that looks like. Everyone's pulling from the same seat. I see that. Coffee Foundation giving money, Health Foundation giving money. What can we ask that's going to be a different ask? Instead of us going separately, what can we do to ask together that will be more impactful that they have not received before? That's number one. So we have to discuss that. Number two, what is a measurable aspect we have? We had early education talk here. Then we talked about elementary school, third grade reading levels. That's United Way's favorite one. They started third grade. I'll give you information. I'm a former CEO of United Way. Hit them with the literacy. Then you go to sixth grade. What is the key performance indicator of sixth grade? How do we keep these boys involved at that point in sixth grade? And then you have to go to high school, which is the ninth grade. How do we get boys to stay in school and not drop out? Most times we get most of the students we work with in what grade? Ninth grade. But is it too late for them by then? Some say yes, some of us say no. It depends. Some of us are salvageable at ninth grade. Some of us are not. It just depends on the type of influence and the background that we have. So how are we going to work differently, Casey? I'm asking this, you talk about call and response. How are we going to work differently? Together. But in coming to work together, we have to not have the egos. We got to check the egos at the door and come on and work together. I had to do that in Atlanta and tell them it's tough. It's tough. But I'll tell you what, when we put our egos aside, and one of the things I did as the CEO of the 100 Black Men I do currently, I signed MOUs of understanding with other nonprofits, and I let them know our ego is checked. This is what we're experts in. This is what you're experts in. Let's come together so we can work and go after the same funding so we won't be pitted against one another. And you receive all the funding, then I'm mad at you because I didn't get a piece of that pie. But when the funders see us come together, there's no way they can deny it. And I'll put it like this, not only am I working with other Black institutions in Atlanta to do those MOUs, I went after white institutions who traditionally want to do this work, but hire a consultant, pay the consultant a certain percentage, and yet take the claim. I said, that's not going to happen here. We will work with the 100 Black men. We will work together and go after the same funding. It's called equity. Special equity in grant writing, equity in funding, equity in sponsorship. So those are the type of conversations that need to be had. Who's going to take the lead on that? I can't answer that for you here. But someone in Kansas City or an organization or some people, a group of people will have to have hard discussions to come up with those solutions to move Kansas City forward in a way it has not before. Shifting the paradigm. After COVID, funders changed philanthropy forever. Are there any funders still in here? Any sponsors still in here? Or they left? Okay. That shift, where they used to just give you money and you could just turn in a report, is no longer available. You have to have key performing indicators. You have to have data, analytics. So whoever has that strength in this community, whether it's one person or organization, that's the person who needs to be able to bring on board early on so we can actually have a better idea of what the key performance indicators are going to be for a rate on return in investment for those funders. That's one. A rate of return on investment on how you make impact and track this community to make impactful change. This is not a 1 or 2 year solution. We're talking about a commitment to make change that could probably be a 10-year before you see even a fraction of the change. But the commitment has to be there, Casey. So that was what's on my heart and mind today as I sat here and I listened, as I was throughout the community since I arrived on Wednesday, and the discussions that I've been having, as I talked to students that were around, what could be a difference? The other part is healing. The trauma that everyone is still induced. I'm still affected from the trauma that happened during the Super Bowl. I have to say that afterwards. When I heard what happened in the parade in Atlanta, I just had to take a moment of silence. So what has to be done for us to heal from that trauma? First of all, us as adults who are in this room, because we've been triggered one way or another. The other one is how we will heal the other people that are involved, and the families that are involved, and the communities that are involved. What does healing look like for Kansas City? I can't answer that. You have to come up with what that healing looks like. What are those hard discussions look like? What are the behind closed doors discussions that we have with people of color that other people don't need to hear about, that we can actually be truthful about before we begin this work? Am I making sense? Because I don't want to preach to you. I want to work and offer solutions and nuggets of opportunity that I have expertise to share with you. Are there any questions I can answer for you? Anything trigger you? Anything comes to mind as I'm speaking on this?
So would you call it a condition of the status of African American awakening?
Nah, I won't call it that, sir, because I mean, that's almost like my brother's keeper. I'll say you guys need to be a convening group. And a convening group is this: it's a coalition that comes together that is of a mission to solve and heal. I say use the word heal, because that's safe, especially for funders that are like that. They're not gonna feel threatened. We have to heal the community. And you have to heal this community, mind, body, and soul. You have to get the spirit. So with that, there's gonna be a backbone organization. It's almost like collective impact, using the collective impact model. But that backbone organization has to have the sustainability to be able to support, to report, to gather data and information, and then also fund, or be the funding source. In Orlando, it was the United Way, because I led that effort. We had a $25 million fund we received from the Aspen Institute to run Opportunity Youth, which is similar to the work that you probably have here. Opportunity Youth are those students that are disengaged and in trouble between the age of anywhere from 15 to 26 years old, and there's still plenty of funding for them. But something similar, framework. Next question. I see over here, I see two over there. That's a great question. What experience do I have in working with an organization that keeps from suffocating the work and all by itself? I'll talk about the 100 Black Men. I'll call us out. We in the audience. So when I came on 3 years ago for the 100 Black Men, I did not want this job. I did not want to move to Atlanta, and my wife did not want to move to Atlanta, even though we had lived there previously. I was like, I'm not your man. I had two other opportunities, one in San Francisco to take me back home to Oakland, or one in New York. But I got a phone call from Tommy Dortch. And if y'all don't know who Tommy Dortch is, he was our longtime chairman who passed away of colon cancer this past year. And it was him who said, Luis, we need someone like you who's gone through your healing process, who's worked in a nonprofit, who's now ordained. We need you to come back and help us get out of the hole in which we're in. He said, we can't get out of our own way because we're too busy wearing the white jackets during the gala. We're too busy taking pictures and not about the community. So we lost our way. That's just an honest conversation. Y'all can go back and call anyone else about the 100, they'll tell you it's true. I said it. So what I had to do, it was hard. I had to go in and talk to the current chairman and the board and first start with my board members. And like the young man said who was rapping, I had to put a mirror up. What are we here to do? What's our purpose, our mission, our values? Why? And they got asked about funders ain't giving us money. Well, they're not giving us money because this is what they hear, but this is what they see. So it starts with self, and it starts with the self of the organization. We have to internally change the culture. We have to internally change the egos. We internally had to have those hard conversations. We had to get rid of some people. We had to shift some things around. We had to get our finances right. We had to get our operations right. And that took time. That took 2 years to get all that together. This past year, we did $2.5 billion in funding without COVID. That was really good to put us in a good financial place, but it took time. And it took hard conversations. Like hard conversations, people are like, I don't like you. I don't think you should be CEO or executive director no more. Because it didn't feel good. But if you have a leader, if you have someone that's willing to step up and really face that and be consistent in that. That's how you change those organizations around. Whether it's a church, and I'm a reverend, I'll call it that, whether it's a church, a nonprofit, a fraternity, or sorority, or whatever you want to say, that's how you start. But you have to have a committed core to be able to make that change. And then what we did, we instituted data evaluation and KPIs, key performance indicators, to everything we produced. Then we did our digital content with the children in the community. I did coffee and conversation in every single zip code in Atlanta. Took off the suit and tie, put on some jeans and a hoodie, even though it was a Morehouse hoodie, and I went in the community. I walked the neighborhood, I shook their hands, I spoke Spanish, I spoke English, because they need to see someone they can trust, not just write a check. So that's some things that I would say, if you hear what I said, if you're recording it, that's a start here in KC for organizations to change. Did I answer your question, man? Thank you. I saw a hand from the gentleman in the back. There's one over here. All right, hold on, there's one here, and then I'll go back.
So a lot of people today have talked about how important mentoring is, how important community work, so many things. But you keep going back to this concept of healing. So if people want to get to that place of healing, how do we start?
Well, healing starts with self first. So what is it going to take for individuals here, and I'm just talking about us here that are present, that didn't leave yet. How does your individual healing start? Is that going to be going to a therapist? Is that going to be going to your pastor? Is that going to be actually facing those demons in which you've been dealing with that you just had closed away? And I'll give you an example through me. I had a stroke in 2016. I was 480 pounds. I was in a toxic marriage. And when I had that stroke on that third day and I was paralyzed, God's supposed to be and say, lose the weight, become ordained, and travel the world to make a difference. My ex-wife thought I was crazy. People couldn't believe it. I walked away from nonprofit work. At that time, I was executive director of for Operation Hope with John Hope Bryant, which is a quote from the gentleman used earlier. And for me, I had to be broken down that I couldn't move to hear the spirit, number one. Because we're spirit-led, that's people. Let's be honest. You can't run from it. It's going to catch you one way or the other. Number two, I had to face my truths. I was an emotional eater. When something happened, I just ate, that got me to 425 pounds. That was my comfort zone. That was my emotional comfort zone. Gallon of ice cream, Coca-Cola, all that. So each one of us have our own triggers in which we run to deal with it. So I had to sit on the therapist's couch and deal with it. It was hard. It wasn't easy. And unwrapping that therapy that I went through, and unwrapping the traumas that happened to me, and understanding that I had to forgive myself because I didn't have the tool sets. I wasn't taught the tool sets and how to deal with it. First of all, as a man, and then a man of color, it was hard. Then I had the opportunity to give myself the freedom to cry. We don't cry, right, brothers? We hard. We hold it in. We stuff it down. But I had to give my permission to allow my little boy to cry. That allowed the man that I was becoming to cry. Because I had to heal emotionally, spiritually, and physically. And it took time. It took 2 years for me to get there. So all I'm saying is one way to heal, Ashley, is that we have to start somewhere. If each one of us in here starts somewhere within that spectrum, that's where you'll start to see this community of change happen. Question over here? Memorandum of Understanding is a legal document that is used for business from a nonprofit or another nonprofit to say, I will do business with you. This is the framework and outline of who manages, how we work operationally, how we work together, and how we get paid. Don't forget the how we get paid part. Because you want to make sure you get your money right. Black Excellence with David Craig is happening. I met with him yesterday. He's at the Keystone, which is a networking center for you to use. It's free of charge. So Ashley, if you get that brother connected with that. And then you have organizations and brothers and sisters say yes. So don't feel alone when you leave today. Network with who you see in here. This is your network now. So brothers and sisters, I don't want to keep you too long, but I hope that the words that I shared with you and the experiences, the framework that I shared with you is an opportunity for us to come together to impact change, to impact solutions, and to impact that you see the lives of these young people and the reduction of gun violence and violence in families and communities to change for Black and brown children here that are in Kansas City. With that, I leave you peace and blessings. My name is Luis Negron. I'll stay for a little bit and I'll answer any additional questions. Thank you.
So we got the tools. All we need to do is build a house. Our closing is coming from the person responsible for us not being here today. Ms. Ruth Ramsey. Can we give her a standing applause, please? All right, I'm going to start with a little bit of
Didn't we have a great time? Did we hear some good information? Outstanding presentations, outstanding people on a mission, and they're bringing us into that mission. So let's give everybody a big hand. I want to thank, certainly again, the sponsors. I want to thank the Our Health Matters team, and they're probably still out in the lobby. Would love to have you know those who are here. Donna Wood, I have a team of young ladies and young men, designers, writers, proofreaders, people who connect me to the community and help me continue to keep this publication of 19 years this year in this community, providing increasing health literacy on many different levels for a diverse community. And we will be reaching out to all of you here. The thing we want to leave you with today is that if there are people in this room who are not currently mentoring, or you want more information about that, on your way out the door, they have an index card. Give them your name and email and phone number. We are going to have you come back with us for a mentoring information workshop on the 16th of March at St. James United Methodist Church. And anyone that you know, bring somebody, let someone know, hey man, we gotta go and do this. I want you to appoint yourself as a captain, and you bring 2 people. So each of you guys who are in here, whether you're already mentoring, we want you to come because you can share your experiences and tell those newbies what it's like and how to get started. So give them your name on an index card, your name, your email, and a phone number. We want to get you the information to bring you to a session, a forum on mentoring. Again, thanking Our Health Matters staff if they're out there, and I don't know if they hear us or anyone can grab those young ladies that are here, but I just want to give them applause. I want to thank all of those that helped us put this event together. Our Reverend Frazier, and certainly Jesse Frazier, who is his grandson, who did the video. Let's give him a great hand. He's a final year college student, and he's starting his own business. He's going to be in digital. He's going to be doing a lot of amazing things. And Our Health Matters is going to stay with you so you keep your stuff going in the community, and they'll know you, and they can help you build your business. If I'm not missing anything, if anybody out there knows I'm missing something, just bring me a note or something. But again, we're closing. We're asking you all to, I'll just read what I have, because I have a few written things that I don't want to miss. I think you'll agree with me when I say that we achieved an important milestone. We're no longer unaware of the critical need to mentor Black boys. Secondly, Black men are no longer a silent minority. Today, their voices were heard. It's safe to say that we can finally focus on finding concrete solutions for providing leadership and support that leads to better outcomes for Black boys as they develop into future leaders. To our special guests, thank you so much, all of you who took off from your Saturday. You could have been anywhere, but you were here today. and you make the difference for us today. And so along with Hope Health and Health Forward and Tim Rogers and the other supporters, we thank you. And you haven't seen the last of us. Thank you.
I just came to thank the thumb drive. Yes. Oh, and you guys fabulous. Thank you so much.